Good morning. My name's Tom Dayton. I'm a vendor lead for Westcon, looking after Checkpoint. So welcome everyone to our first breakout on the application layer. We've got three speakers for you today. We've got Hamza, who is a SASE security architect from Checkpoint, Matthew Derrick, solutions architect from F5, and Mike Beaver from Zscaler, who is a practice build consultant for UK and EMEA. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Hamza, who is up first. Over to you.
Thanks, Tom. Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a good day so far. What I'm going to be presenting today is Checkpoint SASE Solution Harmony Connect, and more specifically, our Zero Trust Network Access offering. So as Tom mentioned, my name is Hamza Ismail. I'm a SASE architect covering the EMEA region in Checkpoint, and I hope you enjoy the presentation today. So first of all, before we get into the concept and notion of Zero Trust Network Access, let's look at what we've been seeing as a modern enterprise in the past few years. So what we have in front of us here is known as the traditional model. It's an architecture that was built to connect, secure, and protect our users, applications, and data, all within a single central location known as the corporate data center. Now, you may have heard of the terms castle and moat, hub and spoke. These are terms whereby all of our users and all of our customers and branches are connecting back to this central location in order to get access to their resources and services. Now, some of the challenges that we will touch upon in the next couple of slides are things like performance, elasticity, and security. So because you may not have the granularity and the visibility today in the business when you are connecting and securing your users to this single central location, that may be weakening the security resiliency of your organization today. And in terms of connectivity, how do your users connect into the data center? Well, for your remote users, you may be using things like a traditional layer 3 VPN solution, whereby your users will have a thick client software installed on their endpoint device, and it will be connected into a VPN concentrator. And for your branches as well, we may be using a backbone such as an MPLS network in order for your sites to intercommunicate with one another and then connect back into this single location. And then when we're looking at the new world and what we are seeing as a paradigm shift, especially when it comes to digital transformation in the past couple of years, no longer are our services hosted within the data center, and no longer are these applications within our control. We're in a stage now where our users and applications and services are now spread across everywhere, and we are adopting what's known as a hyper-distributed architecture. So you may be now consuming services that are hosted on the public internet. You may be looking at consuming services on software as a service applications such as Office 365, and you may be looking at consuming services on infrastructure as a service platforms. So you may be moving your storage, your data, and your servers now into these different environments. And it's fantastic as an organization for us, because it allows us to be a lot more elastic, a lot more agile and flexible. And in today's hybrid working model, whereby we don't need our users to connect into the data center centrally, and we can bring a decentralized approach for users connecting to those applications. There are still some challenges, though, when it comes to security. So because your security stack still may be residing on premise with your headquarters or data center, we now need to ask ourselves, as our remote users are shifting again more to a hybrid working model, how can we push this network security stack closer to the edge, closer to our users, and closer to those applications? And within the network security stack, there can be many different types of technologies, such as a layer 3 firewall, intrusion prevention systems, URL filtering, secure web gateway, and many other things. So we need to now consider how can we push those same technologies closer to those applications in order to minimize the issues when it comes to performance and security. So as I mentioned, what are some of those legacy VPN challenges that we are seeing today? First of all, security. You may be giving broad network access to your users. The fact that you may not have the granularity or the visibility when your users are connecting into those resources, this could significantly increase the attack surface and could then lead to lateral movement within the network. Secondly, operational overhead. So if you are still using an on-premise network security stack today, you may be far too dependent on that type of hardware solution. You may not be able to scale with that type of solution, and could in the future lead to vulnerability and management issues. Performance, I would say, is one of the major challenges that we see. So the so-called term hairpinning the traffic back to the data center. This means that you're not giving users seamless direct access to those types of cloud applications that you're consuming today. And I'm sure that we've seen in the past couple of years the number of support calls and tickets that have been raised with users complaining about dropped or slow connections. And at the same time, when we do now have a situation where more and more of our third-party contractors and external workers are coming into the workforce and they want to be using their own devices instead of using a managed device, we now need to ask ourselves, how can we bring that level of bring your own device policy into the organization? Hence why we need to now start thinking about how can we reinvigorate the notion of remote access, and how can we bring a more modern approach to securing the remote access into your applications. So when we are looking at a solution, we need a solution that can securely connect anyone from any location using any device to those corporate environments. We need a solution that can automatically scale, so it's not going to be bringing any types of bottlenecking when it comes to performance. We need to, at the same time, focus on zero trust. So the fact that we don't want to allow any types of application into your resources as soon as you start publishing your applications into the solution. And we need to look at how can we bring a zero trust access holistic policy into that cloud adopted solution. User friendly. So for your security administrators, we need to think about how can we allow them to adopt a ZTNA solution that is operationally easy to use, and at the same time can be friendly in terms of working with the operational dashboards that we have in place. Can be deployed in minutes. So within a few minutes, you can stand up your ZTNA solution in the organization, and then straight away you can start publishing your applications and assigning those applications to the associated organizational groups. And it can also adapt to those dynamic cloud environments that you are using today. So as you are shifting more and more to the public cloud, we need to think about how can we align ourselves to those same types of public cloud environments and learn and dynamically adapt into those types of environments as well. So this is where Harmony Connect comes into play. Harmony Connect is Checkpoint's ZTNA solution and also offers SASE and SSE capabilities, as coined by Gartner recently. And what Harmony Connect can provide is a secure connection for your different types of users in the organization. So whether your users are using managed devices, whether they are bringing their own devices, or whether they are users sitting in the offices, as we are now approaching that in a more recent times, we can secure that connection through Harmony Connect with a SaaS-based service out to these different environments. So it can be your corporate network, your corporate data center, infrastructure as a service platform, software as a service applications on the public internet. In terms of licensing, just to let you know, Harmony Connect is licensed per user per year. We don't have any limitations on the number of applications or the number of connectors that I'll explain later on that you can deploy within your infrastructure. And obviously for today, we'll be focusing on the ZTNA approach with Harmony Connect, which is Harmony Connect Remote Access. And there are a couple of ways in terms of how we can provide secure remote access for your users out to these different environments. So just checking if there's any questions. Cool. So with Harmony Connect ZTNA, we do want to cover many of the use cases that organizations are trying to achieve in the modern world. So first of all, for your bring your own devices and contractors, we want to provide a user-friendly approach to giving clientless remote access without the need to install any types of software or any types of agents on their endpoints. Secondly, we want to provide a extended way of being able to provide remote access with our VPN as a service technology for PC, Mac, and mobile devices. And we want to give DevOps and engineering that level of access without having to reduce or affect their performance, to simplify their cloud operations with providing things like tagging, privileged access management, and single sign-on capabilities as well. Now, with Harmony Connect Remote Access, as I mentioned, there are two different modes and two different access models that we can provide. The first is network access, whereby this provides a layer 3 VPN as a service or cloud VPN platform to your data centers. So how this works is you would deploy the Harmony Connect agent, or if you do have an office with an SD-WAN edge device or a router, you can also connect this via IPsec to the Harmony Connect platform. And then all of those connections can be brought into the Harmony Connect suite and then terminated within the data center. Another mode is application access, which is our clientless ZTNA platform, whereby your users with any device using any location can access your applications remotely using our clientless portal into the Harmony Connect platform, and then again terminate it into the data center. And how do you connect your applications to Harmony Connect in the first instance? We would deploy what's known as an application connector. This is a Docker-based container that we would use, and then it would establish an outbound encrypted tunnel to the Harmony Connect platform. And then from there on, using the zero trust access policy in the middle, we would start publishing our applications, defining our rules and policies, and then allow your users granular authorization to those applications. In terms of the different use cases where the different access modes meet, so first of all, with network access, this is more meant for users with managed devices and users sitting in the branch offices. And in terms of connectivity, this can provide connectivity for any application using any protocol, leveraging our layer 3 network VPN as a service platform. Application access is more so for those contractors whereby they're not using a managed device, or they don't want to install any types of software on their device. Bring your own devices users as well, DevOps and engineering teams. And in terms of connectivity, today with the clientless solution, we support applications such as web-based, RDP, SSH, and SQL database applications as well. More specifically, in network access, we are using a consolidated client with the Harmony Connect solution. So this client can also provide you with secure web gateway technologies using our cloud SWIG platform. But the main focus is the layer 3 VPN as a service that we're going to be mentioning today. And this can provide, as I mentioned, a full end-to-end layer 3 tunnel back to your data centers, accessing any types of applications, whether they're legacy-based or modern-based applications. And we can also provide device posture validation to check for things like, is there an antivirus installed? Has it got the updated signatures applied? And is the device joined to your domain? And for application level access, as I mentioned, we support different types of application access for anything over HTTP, HTTPS, database applications, SSH, RDP, and more specifically with RDP now, we can provide RDP access within the browser using our web RDP proxy, or you can leverage your native RDP client. So there's no need to use a VPN or traditional VPN solution for that. And you can just use your native RDP client to connect into your machines hosted within the DC. In terms of availability and where we are currently hosted, so we are globally available in all of these regions that you see here. We are co-located with both Microsoft Azure and AWS, and we do leverage a content distribution network. So wherever your users are currently based, we can route that traffic to one of the nearest edge locations that, as an example, AWS supports today. And then that will provide you with low latency connections out to the data centers and then into your applications. And just to mention more specifically about those use cases, so as I mentioned before, if it is your customer support teams, if it is those engineering teams, your internal business users or your third-party contractors, whatever types of scenario you may have, whether it's adopting the clientless solution, the application access solution, or our network access solution using VPN as a service, we know that we can provide and meet all of those objectives and use cases that you as an organization want to leverage with a modern remote access solution today. So just some of the key takeaways for Zero Trust Network Access and some personal takeaways that I have for myself. The first one being when we are now looking at adopting a ZTNA solution, we want to understand what types of applications and services and data we are hosting in the business, whether they are hosted on premise or whether they are now hosted in the public cloud. As I say, if you can't see it, you can't secure it. So we need to understand what applications we have, how do we want our users to connect to those applications, and whether it's, again, looking at a clientless approach or a client-based approach, how we want that connectivity to work for our end users. Secondly, we want to review the current network infrastructure and design a migration plan towards ZTNA. So you may have already seen the term SASE and SSE used very frequently in today's world. So we want to look at how our current network is built in terms of connectivity for our users. How can we now look at migrating those applications to a more modern cloud-based solution? And how can we leverage that as modern ZTNA solution to minimize the legacy access for users to those corporate applications within your infrastructure today? One of my personal takeaways is to kind of start at layer 7. So you want to look at what applications you can bring with the clientless solution or the application access solution, starting that off at layer 7 in the model. And if there are other applications where you will need to provide type legacy-based application access, then we can start working our way down to layer 3. The great thing about layer 7, especially with Harmony Connect and application access, is we can provide more contextual rich information about what types of applications your users are accessing. Is there any kind of malicious intent with those applications? And especially when it comes to privileged access management capabilities, we can actually provide recordings for SSH and RDP sessions within the application access solution. So focusing on that, and if there is a need to provide more layer 3 access for legacy-based applications, then of course we do have the network access solution for that as well. And then lastly, when you are looking at a ZTNA solution, you want to ensure that it provides both authentication. So authentication in the sense that we can integrate with your identity provider, whether that's Azure AD, Okta, OneLogin, any type of SAML 2.0 identity provider that you have in today, that will provide the authentication for users to successfully authenticate against their credentials and against the directory into the platform. But then after that, we want to provide granular authorization to build a ZTNA access policy in order to specify what types of applications we want our users to access. And again, removing that broad network access barrier that we may be looking at today. And then just to show you a high-level architecture with Checkpoint SASE. So as I mentioned, it's not just zero trust network access that we can provide within Harmony Connect. We can also provide other capabilities such as our cloud secure web gateway, firewall as a service, application control, URL filtering. So all of these services combined into a consolidated cloud solution. And if we start looking on the left-hand side where we have our users, devices, and branch offices, we can secure that connection from those different types of users into Harmony Connect, leveraging the security engines, the security services, and our networking service capabilities, and then feeding that off to those different environments, whether it's the public internet or whether it's your corporate networks. We want to secure all of those connections using the Harmony Connect platform. And again, in terms of management, it's managed within our Infinity portal. This is Checkpoint's cloud-based management platform where you would come and manage not only Harmony Connect, but many other different types of Checkpoint products and services as a SaaS service. And we can also leverage things like API to automate and orchestrate those operations. And in terms of threat intelligence on the top right, this is obviously leveraging Threat Cloud, which is Checkpoint's threat intelligence database, providing external and internal indicators, compromise feeds for both our external and internal users, and then feeding that off to all of our Checkpoint products and services, including Harmony Connect. So with that, probably sped up on time a little there, but I do thank you for your time, and I hope that's been useful. If you do want to learn more, then you can visit checkpoint.com, search Harmony Connect, and then you can request a demo and read more about the solution there. I think you're on mute, Tom.
I am indeed. Thanks for that. So thank you ever so much. It was really good, really insightful. I myself am, very excited about Harmony. Harmony's grown incredibly well for us over the last 12 months. We saw over 130% growth last year here at Westcon. So clearly it's resonating really well with our partners and end users. So thank you again for the presentation.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for having me.
Thanks ever so much. So up next, I think we have Matthew from F5.
Good morning.
Good morning. So welcome. Thank you ever so much for joining us. So looking forward to your presentation. Over to you.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone. My name is Mathieu Diric. I'm based in Paris. I'm solution architect here at F5 for more or less 10 years. And today I'm not here to sell you another piece of technology or to convince you to migrate all your apps to the cloud or that you must migrate your application in our platforms now. I hope you will come away from this session to know that F5 can meet where you are. Okay, so I will share with you our vision, okay, our new direction that we have transformed from the last years, because we used to be a load balancer company, and I'm sure you know F5 as a load balancer company. But now we protect the most popular and mission critical application all over the world, okay? And not only in the data centers, as well in the public cloud, in the private cloud, in hybrid environment. So let's do it. The last 2 years have seen accelerated digital transformation across businesses, okay? So all over the world. And this acceleration punctuates the set of opportunities on one hand and challenges on the other hand, okay? Just because of the growth of the number of applications. So for instance, in finance today, and I'm sure my numbers, I'm not up to date, but it's more than 1,700 applications, okay? Let's say 2,000 applications for one bank or an insurance. In a retail, it's less, it's 900, 1,000 applications for one company, okay? So as organizations make strategy and planning decisions to improve the customer experience, okay, transform the business, differentiate through their application portfolio, the IT team, let's say, struggles, okay, with this growing of security needs, first of all, and how best to modernize the infrastructure and application architectures, because an architecture now is not only on a flat network, it's much more complicated. So I would like to share with you some of what we have learned, okay, about those challenges and our insight, okay, to on the best path forward. So when everything is going well, okay, end user enjoy a seamless digital experience, okay, and every day we enjoy this digital experience with our smartphones or with our laptops. However, this experience is a composite of stitched together applications, okay, that sit everywhere across multiple environments. So what is an environment for me? An environment for me can be a data center, okay? So inside a data center, for instance, for these shop applications, these retail application, the data center can own sensitive information, okay? So let's say your account information. The digital, the delivery intelligence, the delivery process can live directly in the edge. So what is the edge for me? An edge for me is a location that is very, very close, I would say closest, but very close to the consumer. So for instance, if I take an example with a Tesla, the car company, the edge can be the electrical power station, okay, when you charge your car. This is the edge for me. Inside this power station, there are some applications, and inside the application I need some services that I'm going to share with you, okay. This is the edge for me. Don't be surprised if I use the edge term all over the presentation. The shopping cart, for instance, can be in a public cloud. Why? Because AWS, Azure, Google, they offer a lot of services to deliver, to develop quickly this kind of service, shopping cart. And the last one, CDN, for static content, for images. This could be another location. Okay, so let's peel the onion back. Okay, one more layer and see what we can do. Okay, what is there? So let's start. It's common to have legacy and modern application. Or a legacy application for me is not especially a hard application, but it's an application running in a hard environment, okay? Monolithic environment, classic standard web server, an Apache, for instance. This is a legacy app. And modern application for me are application developed in a modern way with DevOps, with container, with Kubernetes for the environment. This is a modern, okay? So it's common to have both in different locations and clouds, public cloud, private cloud, AWS, Azure, and they all own their own services, WAF, DDoS, bot protection, load balancer, firewalling, ingress controller if we're talking about Kubernetes, okay? So it means we have fragmentation and inconsistency, okay? So I can let you imagine how it's difficult to scale when we have inconsistency in terms of environment and services. Then we have the data itself, okay? Keeping the customer and business data behind your apps secure in transit is a significant challenge today in 2022, okay? And a core responsibility. And the data is trapped in each silo, okay, in each system silo, let's say the WAP, the load balancer, the gateway. And it limits as well the promise of artificial intelligence, machine learning optimization, okay? Because it's separated in every silo, we don't take advantage of all these new tools, all these new mechanisms we have today. So every technology added in the pursuit of increased speed to market, go to market, they had complexity and increases the point of vulnerability, okay? So the result is there is no pervasive security posture, okay, across all the environment, nor across the apps, because the apps can be spread across environments. In the worst cases, security is everybody and nobody's responsibility, okay? So I mean, no one want to fund it, want to fund these security. So unfortunately, in the race to better compete, to better respond to increasing consumer expectation, IT teams, IT systems have paid a price in terms of increased vulnerabilities, unfortunately, the complexity, the fragility, and the manual effort involved. Okay, so let me go deeper in our vision and solution in order to simplify this big and complex landscape. Okay, but on the slide you can see all my friends that we are all today in those sessions to share with you our experience and vision. But you can see many actors. Okay, so let me try to be more precise. So we believe at F5, we believe that no matter where an organization may be on their digital transformation journey, okay, it could be in the early stage or very in advance. So they would be well served by a distributed cloud architecture. Okay, and I will explain to you what is for us a distributed cloud architecture for security and delivery. Okay, so I need to expose my application, freewf5.com or freewcheckpoint.com, but I need to make it secure as well. Okay, this is for us distributed cloud architecture. So with such an architecture, app component can live everywhere, as I told you. Okay, if I take the Uber application, perhaps the map comes from Google, the booking come from an on-prem sensitive application, and for the tracking, it's another one in the public cloud. Okay, so it's difficult today to have consistency in terms of posture security, in terms of API security, WAF security, DOS security, bot security, and much more. So in fact, there is a consistent set of application services, WAF, bot, DDoS, across all environments. And application services, WAF, DDoS, bot, that are platform agnostic, okay, can be integrated into your ecosystem today. It can also move with you. Okay, so if one application is moving from on-premises to the cloud, because this is your project for 2022, 2023, your application services needs to follow. Okay, this is a lift and shift. So in this model, architecture model, and principles and best practices, F5 architecture has a portfolio roadmap, and let me go in details and highlight some few important focus areas, okay, in this roadmap. First of all, we're building a best-in-class portfolio of application security and delivery. as a SaaS offering, and this is named F5 Distributed Cloud Platform. So it has been announced last February, 1 month ago, okay, at our IGDT event. So it's like the WestCon event today, okay. So we announced this platform, and this platform offers security and delivery capabilities as a service. But we're going to move all our big IP, for those of you who know big IP, we're going to move all our big IP capabilities into this new model, in new platform. So a big IP as a service. It's a big shortcut, but this is the roadmap. Secondly, we're using telemetry and analytics, okay, to generate actionable insight and drive automation. All F5 solutions are automated, so you can use a UI, but if you hate UI because you are more to the left and you want to do automation only, it's very easy to do it today with F5 solutions. And not only the big IP or the Nginx, as well with the F5 distributed SaaS platform. So our architecture offers multiple tiers of telemetry aggregation, because we have information inside from many tools. And third, the last one, we are simplifying automation and ecosystem integration thanks to a common API. So F5 has a common API in order to integrate with third-party product and families. And this API is versioned and declarative. Okay, just a reminder, declarative means with one call, I have several actions. Okay, so with one call, I can expose an application. With one call, I can expose an application and make it secure with a WAF policy, for instance. This is declarative API. So at F5, we call the outcome of implementing this pattern and principle that I just presented adaptive applications. Okay, this is our marketing term, strategy term, up to you. Select the one you want, but this is adaptive apps. Okay, it utilizes an architectural approach that facilitates rapid and most of the time fully automated responses, okay, to changing conditions. So what is changing conditions? New cyber attacks, update of a security posture, application performance degradation thanks to the analytics and observability, or just condition across one or more infrastructure environment. This is adaptive applications. So our vision is the F5 vision is to enable four things: more rapidly detect and neutralize security threats. Okay. The second one is improve application performance and resilience. Okay. To have HA. A speed deployment of new apps. So yeah, when now an app needs to be deployed in less than 5 minutes. It used to be hours or days, weeks, depending the market. Now it's minutes. Okay, so when the DevOps commit a code, the code is pushed to the pipeline deploy the app somewhere in an AKS in Azure, and the DevOps expect this application up and running a few minutes later. Okay, so speed deployment of new apps. And the fourth, by easily unifying policies. So security policies across all environments. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's on-prem, off-prem, with a public cloud, or if it is as a SaaS at F5 in our own data centers. We want to reduce the cost of the ops. Okay, NetOps, SecOps, DevOps, whatever. But with unifying policies, we reduce the cost of the operations. So, in fact, today, March 2022, it's not new, okay? And for each of these benefits, we are delivering values to our customers. And let me take some examples. Few of them, okay? I don't have time to spend 10 minutes per use case and per customer. Let's select only two on this slide. Let's say the first one. The first one is a big 5 Canadian bank where we reliably detect fraud and eliminate additional losses, okay, by 177%. So this was one use case that we did with a Canadian bank. If you are interested, reach out to me and WestCon, and we go deeper on this use case. Let's take another one, the last one, for instance, with Asian. This one was a use case to simplify the security posture. Okay, security posture for me is your security policies with an S. Okay, the WAF, the WAP, the bot, the DDoS, the API protection, and so on. So for these customers, used to deploy several F5, and not only F5, but used to consume security solution, okay, in AWS, in Azure, on premises with us. And thanks to the F5 distributed cloud, unified API, we managed to get only one security policy. Okay, so it means we have now with this customer several policies. Okay, let's say low, medium, high accuracy, low, medium, high sensitivity, and then they can deploy the medium sensitivity to an application. And it doesn't matter if the application is 50% to the cloud and 60% on-prem. It will be, we're gonna have consistency in the policy. Okay, this is another example. Let's go. I just put one slide on the portfolio because it was not my idea today for you to show you the portfolio and the product and the solution. It was more the vision and where we are and where we go with F5. But here's interesting. With one slide, you can have an idea of how we deliver this adaptive application story. Okay, so at the lower layer, you can see the F5 Velos F5 series. Is an hardware. Of course, we need an hardware something. Okay, in your data center, in my data center, in AWS, we need an hardware somewhere. Okay, so we have the platform itself at the lower. On the top, on the right part, you can see distributed cloud platform. This is the platform as a service. Okay, this is owned by F5. We have 20 20-ish POPs in the world that we own. It's not public cloud. It's private POPs. So we have this distributed cloud platform for the service as a service, or for the rest, we have F5 platforms. The next layer is a data plane. Okay, the data plane is an instance. It's a software running on an hardware. And today, if you know the F5 story, we have the big IP, the traditional big IP solution. The Nginx, that is a lightweight, that fits perfectly with modern application in modern environments. So you can deploy Nginx in a Kubernetes, you can deploy Nginx in the public cloud it's lightweight. Okay, so it's more for modern environment, modern application. Or the distributed cloud services. The distributed cloud services is, you don't know, something that is deployed by F5, okay, in our own SaaS environment. Could be big IP, could be Nginx, could be Envoy, could be something else. Okay, and we have the management plane. Okay, the management plane or management planes, because we have 3 management planes: one for the big IP, one for the Nginx, one for distributed cloud environments. And on the top, the big umbrella is the analytics, the insight, the analytics, the observability. Okay, so we consolidate everything to this umbrella in order to have full visibility of our application health and security. This is big picture of the portfolio. So on time, we realize the world of adaptive applications will not happen overnight. Okay, I'm okay with you on this point, especially when we know that 90% of the enterprise today are a combination of legacy application and modern application. Okay, so both in the same environments. So it will be a journey. So let's take one example. For example, in a deep dive focus on simplifying legacy app security and delivery for multi-cloud. Okay, the silo on the left on the slide, we could address how NetOps and SecOps can consolidate app delivery and security, so publishing an application and make it secure, for legacy mission critical application. Okay, this is one example. Another one, it's on the middle, it's we can help of enabling modern app at scale. What it means? It means we will be happy to explore, for example, how we can deploy Kubernetes for microservices in your near-term roadmap, okay? Because perhaps you don't know, but we have managed Kubernetes solution at F5, okay? So we are not a load balancer company anymore, and we have a lot of things here to tell you, okay? So DevOps, SecOps, NetOps teams can better align to achieve their target, okay? It could be app delivery, app security, go-to-market, whatever, okay? So we have a lot of things to share with you with F5. I'm on time, so thanks for listening to me. Thanks for watching this session, this presentation. Feel free to reach out to us, okay? As usual, we'll be very happy to go deeper in the different concept I presented, okay? The distributed cloud, the traditional big IP, and I can tell you a lot of things on the traditional big IP, or the Nginx solutions if you are in a modern environment.
Alrighty, thank you ever so much, Matthew. That was a really good presentation. Really enjoyed it. I like that you set the scene really well at the start there. Some really insightful points around applications in cloud and how we can, best utilize some of the F5 solutions there at the end. So yeah, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it.
You.
So up next, I believe we have Mike from Zscaler.
Yes, absolutely. Hello. How are we doing?
Mike, thanks so much for joining us. Over to you.
Lovely. Let me share my slides then. Wonderful stuff. So, going to take a slightly different focus today. My name's Mike Beaver. I'm what's called a practice build consultant at Zscaler. We work with the practice build consultant team, work with our top tier of partners. Westcon absolutely forefronting that. To develop new services and new practices around the Zscaler platform. And kind of working out into the market to drive more successful revenue and consultancy and security advisory services with our partners. We're going to go into a little bit of detail today, rather than give an overview of the Zscaler platform, which many people have seen many times. We're going to actually look at Office 365. Reason being, it's one of the largest and most critical security apps out there. It's one of the largest and most critical productivity apps that our customers use, and over a quarter of all traffic on the Zscaler cloud is run Office 365. Now, 25% may not appear like a very big number in the first instance, but when you realize that's nearly 30 million users and over 5,000 organizations, it tends to add up to several trillion transactions on a weekly basis. Yes, that's right, trillion transactions on a weekly basis. So the real drive behind Office 365, as well as the remote working, was the sudden shift to hybrid and remote working that came with the pandemic. And we saw that exactly mirrored in the growth of Office 365. Now, what we've also found is that Office 365 was a great transformation enabler as companies realize that to increase their talent pool, increase the people that they have available to work and deliver new ideas and deliver value, they needed to cast the net wider. So they decided to transform the organization and then use Office 365 to use Office 365 to achieve that, because as we all know, technology itself is not transformational. It is merely the enabler that businesses use to drive the transformation that occurs at the cultural or the business level. So why is someone from Zscaler whittering on about Office 365? Well, it's quite simple. Users are the weakest link of any security chain. Productivity tools, Office 365, G Suite included, are the heart of everything they need to do to achieve their job. And 63%, so almost 2/3 of all organizations, struggle with Office 365. With that in mind, the Zscaler team put their engineering minds and put their platform-based minds to helping to solve this challenge. So what we typically see is that network congestion impacts Office 365 user experience, and more than 50% of organizations surveyed said that network performance impacted issues daily. So if 40% are having daily issues, that's a pretty big problem to solve. And that's exactly what Zscaler set out to do. And the way that we achieve that is by looking at Office 365 best practices. So Office 365 best practices, the absolute key one here is to avoid network hairpins and to egress network collections locally, the two at the bottom of the screen in front of you. Now, with that in mind, egressing network connections locally means don't backhaul it. That's remarkably difficult to do in this remote working model because we have a bit of a dichotomy, a bit of a standoff between our application, our user experience teams, and our office and our security teams, and those tasked with keeping the users from doing things that may compromise maliciously or benignly the security posture of the organization at hand. So, how do we do this? Well, it's quite simple. We move to a cloud-based security model, and that's what Zscaler does. We don't need to go into ZIA, we don't need to go into ZPA, we don't need to go into ZDX or ZWS or CSPM even in any level of detail to figure out what Zscaler actually does and why CIOs care so much about it. It's simple. Zscaler gives a consistent security posture no matter where your users are, no matter what your users are connecting to, and no matter how your users are connecting. So what that means is we can smooth some of that friction between security and the productivity teams by allowing you to egress traffic locally, because the cloud security posture has followed the user to wherever they are, whether that's in a Starbucks or a Costa, whether that's in a Hilton or a Marriott, or whether that's even sat at home like me with a grand piano in the background, albeit a virtual background, in some kind of massive great room. So giving them the ability to egress those connections locally allows for the best level of user experience, allows for the collaboration to occur amongst the teams, and allows them to be productive. Zscaler operating as a platform allows us to avoid those network hairpins, because the user simply connects to the Zscaler cloud. It is a truly proxied architecture, so that connection is terminated, inspected, re-established, and they go straight off to Office 365 in a geo-aware fashion. So Zscaler knows where the user is, and should it be warranted, connects them to the closest access point to get the best performance. Now, how do we achieve that lack of hairpinning? Because remember, in the old days, we had SSL boxes and outbound firewalls and DLP engines and other such appliances in a nice big stack that we protected all of our outbound traffic with. Well, it's very simple. We have what we call SSMA, a single scan multi-action, where what Zscaler does, it takes the incoming packet, drops it into memory, and then scans it with all of our security engines simultaneously. Okay, so using the well and oft used analogy of a car-based story, as IT is wont to use, it is like stopping at a border checkpoint and having all of the drugs, narcotics, the weaponry, and illicit contraband material teams looking at the car all at once instead of one at a time. And we look at everything. We look under the wheel arches, in the exhaust, and so on and so forth. So avoiding those network hairpins means that we simply pass the data through the Zscaler cloud as quickly as possible into that Office cloud to allow for the best experience. Now, the two at the top of the screen we haven't mentioned yet, so let's get on to those. We identify and differentiate Office traffic. It's a Microsoft best practice. Zscaler is fully and pertinently aware not only of Office traffic, but also of the underlying tenancies associated with those. So there's lots of things Zscaler can do here around binding particular tenancies to users, around ensuring bandwidth control and app control, make sure that that office traffic has prioritization over YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or any of those social media platforms, and allows us to ensure a certain level of connectivity and productivity is associated with those. And then finally, assess bypassing proxies. Now, this is contrary to everything that security people know, but again, at Zscaler, we allow you both to inspect and also to bypass without impacting performance. So we'll inspect, but make sure that performance is maintained, make sure that security is maintained, and again, smooth those frictions between those user experience and those security devices. So in a little more detail as we start to drill down into those. So let's look at that for direct internet. Well, first of all, it will give you a faster experience. Zscaler looks at all ports and all protocols, so not necessarily just the Word and Excel documents that you might send up and down, but all of the ways that you might move traffic and Teams information and SharePoint online, up and down, in and out of your, or to and from your users, your locations, and the other internet side of things, so the other SaaS applications they might interact with, the other locations that data may end up. Okay, it's easily deployed. Zscaler has a couple of things here. First, it's a SaaS subscription, so you're not actually responsible for any of the underlying hardware that you're taking care of. Unlike an appliance, we do all of that for you. It's easily deployed. We have an entire series of functions inside the Zscaler platform called one-click configuration. The clue's in the name as to what it does. One of the real benefits, however, is if you're working in multiple locations where previously you'd have to spend your entirety of Wednesday morning updating all the Microsoft IPs as they seem to change them every week, Zscaler takes care of all of that for you and just updates it all automatically in the background. In fact, we remove those appliances from those remote locations so you don't have to patch them anymore at all. So the one-click configuration is a really useful thing. And then it's optimized security. So firstly, Zscaler Cloud Firewall and bandwidth control guarantee that traffic as it passes through. But then looking at a wider scale, Zscaler is peered with every single Microsoft data center and Microsoft location, which means that we have massive links in between them. So the traffic flow and the performance of that is incredibly strong. So again, it's all about driving that user experience whilst protecting those users from doing their typical things. So on the right-hand side of the screen, these slides are available for you. I'm not going to read through the laundry list of features that we have here in detail, but you can see and you can read them all. On the prioritization, we, as we said, can guarantee that Office 365 as business critical traffic. So we can guarantee a portion of that bandwidth to make sure that through the Zscaler cloud and from wherever your users are connecting to, they will maintain the performance required to ensure a good user experience. And that can be shaped as any QoS window. This is not new technology. It just happens to be new over the concept of a cloud platform rather than through a series of appliances. We can shape that traffic to ensure that the best performance is maintained. Now, one interesting thing as well is a fundamental architectural difference between Zscaler and some of the other cloud organizations out there. The Zscaler cloud is wholly owned and delivered by Zscaler. It is not hosted in a destination cloud. Now, one of the things for me in that respect is simply the amount of hops or the amount of different directions my network traffic needs to go. With Zscaler, it migrates or it moves from the end user into the Zscaler cloud and out to the Microsoft Office 365 cloud. It's a very simple set of transactions. If you're using an architecture that may be based in a destination cloud, however, you are going to go from the user to a front door to the destination cloud, up to the destination cloud, bounce around there for your outbound policies. Then you come back out of that cloud, in through another front door into the Microsoft cloud, go and get what you need from Office 365, and then come back out of there, back through the front door that you first came out of on the destination cloud, back into the destination cloud for all the inbound policies, and then finally back out to the user. I don't know about you, but I would get lost. So having it remarkably simple makes it remarkably easy for a brain like mine to go, oh, okay, I'm going from user to Zscaler Cloud to destination. It's much simpler than bouncing up and down 7 or 8 different times. And enforcing that in the cloud rather than in the destination and before the last mile bottleneck that home local connections will inevitably experience will also smooth and give you better performance in that respect as well. One-click configuration simplifies those updates, as we said. Office updates their 365 connection details multiple times every single week. Zscaler simply gives you a way to stay on top of that automatically. So Zscaler will take care of that for you, and without any day-to-day Office 365 administration as well. So we're going to make life just that little bit easier, but we're also going to make sure that you stay permanently up to date. One of the most common exploits in the last 2 to 3 years was an unpatched appliance, whether it was a firewall, a VPN, or whatever you were looking at, load balancers and otherwise, where simply because we didn't have the right maintenance window at the right time, in the right location, in the right place, with the right people in the right patches, we were exploited and we were breached. It saves all that emergency running around and unexpected downtime to just stay up to date with it. And that's exactly what Zscaler provides for you across all of the Office 365. So it fingerprints those direct to your organization. You can actually bond your Office 365 tenancy to the Zscaler tenancy, and you can achieve that in a number of ways. So doing that works wonderfully well. Now, that's not the only set of integrations that Zscaler has with Microsoft. We have an entire wealth and realm of integrations. There's a very specific reason that Satya Nadella himself spoke on our last CXO Summit last week. It's available on the Zscaler website should you wish to go and watch it. But we have the Office 365 there at about 11 o'clock on the diagram. If we work our way anti-clockwise, we also talk about identity. Now, one of the opinions that I hold very firmly in this security industry is that everything will become context-aware, identity-driven in future. If you're not thinking about that now, if you're not directing your customers to think in that way now, then you are missing a trick. Context-aware identity will be at the absolute heart of everything security. And as your Active Directory or even ADFS provides that context-aware identity from a Microsoft piece, it will feed into Zscaler, we will pass those SCIM attributes, and that will enable all of those features that Zscaler would like you to take advantage of. We have endpoint management integration because data's got to originate somewhere, and the Zscaler itself doesn't do endpoint management. We might have an endpoint agent, we might do some very basic posture checks for application access, but we don't manage that endpoint in its own way. So again, we can tie in with endpoint management from Microsoft to give a more cohesive and collaborative security experience to those users to make sure that there are less areas with which you can get inserted in between and you can get breached in that way. In the same way, we tie into the seams because all of this prevention and protection is absolutely useless without knowing about it and being able to mitigate and manage any incidents that do occur. So in that respect, working with Azure Sentinel or Cloud App Security gives you that ability to prevent those and also see what's going on, how it's going on, when it's going on, and where it's going on as well. And then finally, there's the cloud security posture management piece. This, no word of a lie, is my favorite part of the Zscaler platform because it's the part that CIOs truly care about. The reason CIOs truly care about is that liability is incurred when plausible deniability goes away. If you have been on a cloud security journey, regardless of what product that's with, then your plausible deniability has gone away. However, more than 95% of all breaches come from simple misconfiguration, and cloud infrastructure is the least secure of those, purely for the fact it hasn't been around long enough, and most customers' cloud journeys were somewhat organic. They threw a bit of test and dev up, they threw a bit of non-production traffic up there, then they started producing started delivering production applications up there as well. So with that in mind, it was a somewhat organic journey. Security strategy was really only an afterthought, typically when those production applications went up there, and they've certainly never done a security audit. So cloud security posture management will keep a CIO safe. It will look and it will apply more than 3,000 best practices, 16 regulatory frameworks, should you choose to keep them all turned on, across that entirety of the cloud infrastructure, and make sure you stay secure. And that's what keeps CIOs up at night. So with all of that, Zscaler does a massive amount of work with Microsoft. We have an incredibly deep and embedded set of technologies. And I am at time, so I will leave it there. Please reach out to the team at Westcon. They are absolute Zscaler experts. Please get in touch with Zscaler for any of your Office 365 concerns for your customers, whether that's security or Office 365 audits or anything along those lines. There is an entire team of people ready, waiting, and willing to help and work with you. So thank you very much, and go and enjoy your lunch.
Thanks very much, Mike. Great presentation. Appreciate your time today. So that's the end of our breakout sessions today, or this one at least. But I would invite you to rejoin the auditorium, and please don't forget that we have all of our booths as well. So all the 3 vendors who have been on our breakout today have booths to ask any other questions, and you can go talk to an expert over there. But thank you so much. Appreciate your time.